Hey everybody, welcome to whatever day of quarantine this is for you. I'm not quarantining, as you can see, if you've been following me at all. I'm in my mobile office. I drive a truck. I've been out here keeping America moving, as they say. Well, don't call me a hero. I don't want to be called a hero. I'm just doing what I do. I do it because it provides for my family. I do it because I like doing it. And I like doing it because it provides a vital service to this country. I served 6 years in the Army. I provided a vital service then in the defense of my country. And so you could say that in an indirect route, maybe, I am continuing to provide that service today. Why? Because our supply chain is vital to the health of our country. Our supply chain is vital in a way to the security of our country. Therefore, we can say that the supply chain is vital to national security. Okay? And by the way, these interstates that you like driving on your little four-wheelers, look up the Eisenhower network. This is a network of highways for the defense of this nation. And since the supply chain is integral to that, it is for primarily in non-wartime capacity for the trucks, because we are vital. We are integral to the success or failure of this nation. Without us, Ocasio-Cortez, I'd like to see you get supplies back and forth from East Coast to West Coast, wherever, while you're lollygagging around there in New York and laughing it up over the fall of, or the collapse of our oil industry. Laugh it up, which? Okay. Talking about the corona, the Wuhan flu, the Wuhan virus, the China virus, not Chinese virus, China virus. This is on China, the Chinese Communist Party, not the Chinese people. This is on the government, the communists. Okay? Now, there are several conspiracies out there about... Hang on a second, is this guy going to hit my truck? You might have been able to put a piece of paper between my fender and his trailer. There you go. All right, get that thing away from my truck. All right, he knows what he's doing. At least he's acting like it. Okay, so there are a lot of conspiracies about where it came from, why it did, how it got out, who let it get out, what's the purpose in this pandemic. Okay, first things first. It's just so we can clear this, so that everybody knows where I stand on the virus itself. Do I believe in the virus, that it exists? Yes, I believe it exists. Do I believe that it is deadly, that it is fatal? It's a two-part answer. In short, yes, but there are underlying conditions that make it absolutely fatal. Heart disease, diabetes, several other maladies, usually having to do something with the lungs. If you're a smoker, I've heard that there is a greater chance of complications. Okay? Thank God I quit smoking about 6 years ago. It was about 5 or 6 years ago. Interesting story to go along with that, though. And I'll get around to that later. But I do believe that the virus is deadly. But, and there's a big old capital but, caveat, sidebar, something, there are other things that make it more fatal than if you don't have them. Okay? There was by a doctor, and I don't remember his name now, but a doctor did bring up the fact that it is possible, and evidently there is some documented cases of this. It is possible that you have no manifestation of any other symptoms, anything, yet. But then along comes the coronavirus, and because there are some underlying conditions that have not been made manifest through external symptoms, you don't know you have them. And the doctors won't know unless they know to go specifically look for it. So it appears that we have cases where somebody just has corona and they die from corona. They die of the corona. Okay. Then there are those cases where people have been exhibiting external symptoms, where doctors know that there's another case, there's something else, and then they get the corona, and now we have a corona-related fatality. Now, this is where we've got a real problem, and I've heard of these cases being reported. So-and-so is found dead, so-and-so comes into the hospital and passes right away, and then all they do is test for the corona. They have the corona. Oh, it's a corona death. That to me is malfeasance. Okay, you're keeping you're able to feed or fuel a fear while remaining, maybe your conscience feels you're telling the truth, but you're not telling the entire truth. Okay? You're really not. And to pass it off as if you are telling the truth, that, all, 40, 50, 60,000 deaths are all because of the corona, is malfeasance. It's a dereliction of ethics. Okay? But now, was the corona manufactured? Personally, I believe it was. It's engineered. Now, there are some professionals, some specialists, some experts in the field of virology that say that this coronavirus, novel coronavirus 19, is it has enough of the marks to show that it is possible to have evolved. What, the same marks that show that somehow we evolved from apes? Or are we talking about those kind of marks? I don't get it. Are we talking about a macro or micro evolution? I don't know. You're going to have to clarify that for me a little bit. But let me tell you something. Let's take an example. If I were to take human DNA and create a clone. Is that engineered? What if I were to take the human DNA and inject some particular sequence, splice some particular sequence of DNA from something else? Would the markers be different enough for us to say, oh, look, somebody just shows up, maybe they got cat eyes. Oh, just pulling something out, right? 98% of what you can determine, head, shoulders, arms, torso, leg, have all the organs. The only thing that's different are the eyes. And somehow they're able to see in super low light or something. Oh, just throwing something out there. Would we then want to say, oh, that's just 98%, 83%, 100%, whatever, similarities. Now, you look at the studies, they say 100% similarities to these other coronavirus. Similarities, not identical. Okay, similarities. We can sit here and say, and this is why evolutionists get away with it, because they can sit here and look at the ape, the primate DNA, and the human DNA and say, look, they're so close. It's just a one step of evolution. No, it's not. The human is much more complex in ways that you can't see than the ape is. Okay? It's not all about having arms, two legs, this humanoid shape. It's not all about having the little proteins, the S proteins, around the outside of that fatty shell on the corona. It's more than that. Let's take the base of one of the coronavirus. Okay, let's take the base, the proteins in the middle, all those proteins, and splice in the genetics from something else. Oh my goodness! All of a sudden, we've got 83 or 100% similarities between coronavirus, the novel coronavirus 19, and whatever these other bat viri are. They have pulled coronavirus from a bat species. And COVID-19 has a similarity, a high degree of similarity. I can put somebody right next to me and we have a high degree of similarity. But he's not my brother. I've seen pictures of people that we can sit there and say, that is my twin. But guess what? They're not my brother. Not even close. So now, do I believe it was engineered? Yes. Do I believe it was purposefully let out? Purposefully distributed? Yes, I do. And I'm going to add a link to a video that I watched. Very well documented. Where the World Health Organization is in lockstep with the CCP. Now I'm going to challenge you, Google and Yahoo, YouTube, Yahoo too, if you are so inclined. I'm going to challenge you. Where did you get your start? Where did you come from? Who are you afraid of? All we need is one brilliant person to lay out a platform to decimate you. It can happen. Are you going to bow down to the CCP and let them tell you what to do? Do you think America is? I mean, Americans. Me. My neighbors. Liberty-loving, life-loving, hard-working, red, white, and blue-blooded Americans. Do you think that we're going to let them tell us what to do? And I'm challenging all of America right now. All of you. If it says made in China, put it back on the shelf. Let it sit there from here until friggin' eternity. I don't give a crap about the CCP. I care about their people. The Chinese Communist Party are thieves. They steal, they lie, they cheat. They can't create anything without taking it from us or somebody else, some other free nation that has created it. Huawei wouldn't exist without America. Why? Because they stole our technology. They've stolen our patents. They've stolen our technology. They've reversed engineered it and kept us from being able to claim that technology as our own. Now, the bigger picture. China could not have defeated the U.S. in a military confrontation. They themselves admit that. They could not. The economy that Trump has grown made them irrelevant, except for one thing. The fact that they own our debt. A vast majority of it. It's the only thing that keeps them from being completely irrelevant. And I would challenge you to think about the fact that we went from 0 to 60 over a period of 3 years. Okay? And we went from 60 to minus 60 in 3 months. We should not have ever shut down the economy. That won the battle for China. We're at war. They have declared war on us. Okay? Shutting down our economy was the worst thing that could happen. We didn't need China to have an economy. We still don't need China to have an economy. If this remains for any length of time, I'm going to be out of a job soon. Even though I'm driving a truck, I'm going to be out of a job soon. I'm seeing more and more trucks parked at the truck stop with no trailers on them, with no loads, empty trailers or trailerless, parked at the truck stop, and they've been there for days. Some people at least a week, week and a half. So, this is probably going to be part one. the physical world's view of this coronavirus pandemic. We'll wrap up real quick on this part one. The Democrats ought to be ashamed of themselves. Now, I do not agree in just passing out checks to everybody. I really don't. There was probably a solution that if we really wanted to, we could have gotten around it without shutting everything down. And while it would have been a test of our resolve as a nation to get through this, I think we could have come up with a solution. But the real quick, let's do it, get it done with, shut down the economy, everybody stop working. But here is and this is what really got my goat. Here's a list of essential jobs. Everybody else, close it down, go home. I can't stand that. I do not need to be told that I'm essential and my neighbor who got laid off last Monday is not. He is essential because he's got to feed his family. Now, they got their COVID check, but that family, after they pay rent, not going to be much left. Not much at all. 5 in that family. 2 special needs children. And you're telling me that $3,400 is enough. It's not. The man is a very talented welder, builder, a very talented creator. He creates things with metal. Fabulous. That's how he feeds his family. We have the God-given individual authority to provide for ourselves, for our families. We have the authority to provide for ourselves, and when we have a family, we take that and we turn it around now as men. We turn that around, and not to slight against any single mothers out there, but I'm speaking, when you have the full family aspect. And when you bring into account single parents, mothers and fathers, we turn that from an authority to a duty supported by an authority, independent of government assistance. Okay? So that means that every able-bodied person out there with a family, if you're not supporting your family, you're doing something wrong. You're definitely doing something wrong, and not just by yourself, not just to your family, but that duty supported by an authority from our Creator. If you have a family and you're just sitting there taking the depending on government assistance to maintain a substandard life, I'd go so far as to say you're sinning against God. Now, government shut us down. I wouldn't hold you accountable for that. Believe me, God is righteous and just to do the right thing. I can't imagine that He would hold you accountable for that, but any other time, if you just say, well, somebody said this on Twitter, well, you just need to not go protest. You need to just apply for unemployment. Have you heard about the nightmares applying for unemployment, you idiot? That was obviously by someone who either A, still has a job and doesn't, and isn't going to need to depend on government assistance, or B, has always had government assistance, and that's the only life they care about. Now, there's a whole nother side to this coronavirus. A whole nother side. We've just covered the physical side of it. There's a spiritual side. We'll talk about that in part